Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us for another video in the My Journey to Construction series. We're excited to have you join us today. With us is Ron from Wagler and Associates. I'm going to let him start off by telling us who he is and what he does.
Thanks, Matthew. So my name's Ron Eicher. I work for Wagler and Associates. It's a design build contractor in Angola, Indiana, and I am an architectural technologist. What that means is I'm responsible for defining project designs. So whether it's a building or some other piece of infrastructure, it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody knows what is planned to be built. And then I do that, using blueprints, 3D models, reality capture data sets. We use drones sometimes, survey equipment. It's a variety of different information gathered from different sources. The end result is a constructible design. It's a set of blueprints that goes to the field and gets built. And then after a project's finished, I'm responsible for as-built documentation so that we give the customer a copy of a document showing what we actually built when those designs change along the way.
Absolutely, because they always do.
They always do.
Why did you get into construction?
Honestly, it's all about relationships. My family was involved in construction in one way, shape, or form. My dad's a software developer for a pre-eng steel producer. My brother's a civil engineer. So, I grew up around construction. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite part about your job day to day as you're doing all this design work?
Yeah, I love getting to be creative. Like every day I get to create something that didn't exist before. The other piece that I love is watching clients' dreams. I mean, it sounds cliche, we make dreams come true, but literally we do. Like we start out with these little sketches on a napkin, and in the end, you have a building or some piece of infrastructure that's there that serves your needs that didn't exist before. I find that really fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I can understand how that would be encouraging on a daily basis. Where did you get your start? Most of these students watching this are going to be high school students who maybe have a job doing something else. What was your very first job?
Pulling weeds.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family. There were 5 of us siblings, and my parents made us work. Had a massive garden. And so, by the time I was a senior in high school, I was working, 15 hours a week or something at a hardware store. And so I wasn't initially in a construction job, but then after I graduated high school, I started working on a residential framing crew. That was my first real construction job.
Awesome. You mentioned that you did the hardware job during high school. What else was your high school experience like? What were your grades? What did you study? Were you involved in extracurriculars? What else did you do while you were in high school?
Yeah, sure. So I actually had a bit of an atypical schooling situation, I guess. It was a church school. So it was only like 30 kids in my entire school. So there weren't any sports programs. But I mean, we played ball just for fun. But in terms of my own, grades, I would say excellence through effort has kind of been the story of my life. I was a 4.0 student, but not because I was extremely gifted or smart. I just worked a lot. Really had to work hard at it. But I enjoyed that. It was important to me to do the best that I could. So I loved that. I loved reading books. I mean, at the time I was in high school, I wanted to be a research scientist. I just thought it was super cool that you could learn things about the world by observing and make stuff, make important stuff happen, I guess. So I loved that about high school. I also did model rocketry. I loved building things with my hands. And then one other important part of the culture I come from, I'm actually from a Mennonite family. We help each other build stuff. So I was often part of people see Amish people and they talk about barn raisings. It wasn't quite like that, but like we would go frame a house for someone, that needed it done. So I learned my way around construction pretty early on.
Did you, as you were having all of those experiences, did you achieve any specific credentials or certifications, or would you say it was more, hands-on experience that you got really early that just kind of, created the stepping stones necessary for you to kind of land where you ended?
No, that's a great question. Formal education is really important because you need that to function in any industry because we're just a specialized society. But in my case, I didn't know that I was going to be in this field when I was in high school. So what I would say is, yeah, I mean, depending on if you know what you're going to do specifically in the construction industry, like let's say you wanted to fit into a role where I am, well, any CAD classes, computer aided design, anything like that, great, wonderful, take it. But beyond that, I think the most important thing is if you're like many high schoolers, you might not have that figured out yet. So one thing you do know is get good at problem solving, because whatever industry you go into, people pay you to solve problems. That's what they need you to do. Look for ways to automate systems. You can do that in high school. You can do that with your homework. And then, of course, like I said, trades or vocational training. Yeah, definitely. I don't downplay that, but the problem solving is the number one important thing, because if you know how to problem solve, you can specialize as you need to going along.
Absolutely. You mentioned problem solving. I think that's an important soft skill for a lot of folks to learn and to practice and harness their ability to do it. Are there other soft skills that have helped you in your career in terms of being able to be successful and get these projects completed?
Oh, definitely. Get up early and work hard. Those sound really simple, but they're true. And also just being in charge of your own weather, like being responsible for your own attitude. I had a mentor that years ago, he told me, he said, wherever you are, make that a better place because you were there. And I think that's pretty universal.
I couldn't
Nobody
agree
likes
more.
a grumpy coworker.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I often talk to students about like happiness is where you are, or it's nowhere at all. Right. It's not over the fence. It's not in the next town. It's like you got to do that yourself and definitely figure out how to make it the best of what you've got going on. When you think about the construction industry as a whole, why would you encourage someone to join the construction industry or think about making it their future career?
Yeah, great question. I mean, in my understanding, it's the largest industry globally. It accounts for about 13% of the GDP, global GDP, I believe. That's what I've been told. So that's one really important reason to get into the industry. But honestly, it's not boring work. Like what we do, it relates to basic human needs. You need food, you need clothing, you need shelter. And for myself, I work for Wagler there in Angola, but I actually live in Western Canada. So I'm in Calgary, and it's cold here. And if we didn't have good infrastructure and good systems, we would die. We just expect when we turn on the heat, it works. When we turn the faucet handle, we get water. And we don't expect our houses to collapse when it storms. So without this industry and without those services, we couldn't live in this environment.
Absolutely. Well, this is bringing us to the end of our set of questions. Again, the audience for today is probably high school students that are either in construction classes or thinking about construction for their future. Any last parting thoughts for them? Anything else that you would want to share with them before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would just say this industry offers you a chance at a great life. I mean, you can do whatever you want to in this industry. Like was mentioned, it's massive. So there's lots of different opportunities. But remember, you don't have to be an ideal candidate to fill a role. But like myself, I'm homegrown and I came into this a bit at a time. But what is important is you need to be a person of character. You don't need to be perfect. None of us are, but you need to be good at what you do and put effort into it. Be a hard worker, be humble. Remember that you're always going to be clueless about the vast majority of whatever there is to know. That's true of any person. And persist in learning. Always ask questions. Never be too proud to say, I don't know how that works. Can you tell me?
Absolutely. Well, Ron, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for visiting with us for a little bit. Those of you watching the video online, thanks for joining us for another installment. We're excited that you checked in or decided to check out this video today, and we wish you all a great day.
Thank you.